Hi, this is Magda K, founder of Psychology for Marketers, and welcome to today's episode. Today we'll be talking about neuroplasticity. And don't worry, it only sounds complicated, but it's actually super easy and really good news for us because what neuroplasticity is basically the capability of our brain to change, which means our capability to learn. So there are really few things that come from neuroplasticity of our brain. And the first one is breaking any myth about the fact that the older we get, the less we can learn. According to all the studies and research, it doesn't matter how old you are, you can always learn new things. It's because of neuroplasticity. So, for example, they took a person, an adult, who started only playing violin. So they didn't do it as kids, they only started now. And after a few months, they observed what's happening to their brain. And indeed, they saw some changes. So any brain area that is responsible for recognizing sound and any other things that would make you a good violinist, they saw those changes in the brain, even though this person only picked up playing violin recently. Another thing to know is that actually our brain is quite plastic and elastic, meaning that the neuroplasticity can take place very easily. So if you do start learning something new, your brain is going to change really fast to help you in the process. Again, this is really good news because it shows us that if you do want to learn something, it's not going to take so much effort to really see the changes. Now, there is bad news to it as well. Just as fast as it is for our brain to go through those changes to help us, develop new skills and learn new things, it's just as easy for our brain to reverse. So the moment you stop doing what you were doing, your brain is going back to what it was before. Think of the languages. If you study a foreign language, you develop your skills. So your brain, continuously is catching up to allow you to develop the skill. And you can be really good at speaking a foreign language. But once you stop and then you try after a while, you're like, oh, I don't remember anything. This is because neuroplasticity initially helped you to develop the skill, but once you stop doing it, again, the neuroplasticity worked against you. However, in all this, there is good news. So I want you to imagine water going through sand. So initially, there's no path, so the water might fly all around. But after a while, the more the water floods and the more water floods through the sand, you start having a path. And then with time, this little dig gets deeper and deeper, and so finally the water knows exactly where to swim because the path is deep and it's very precise, it's determined. That's like our skills. The water, it's basically our practice. So the more we practice, the more water flows. So the more you practice, also the path in your brain becomes deeper and more defined. So now imagine that the water stops flowing. But if you wait a little bit, the deep, let's say the dig might not be as deep, might not be as defined, but it's always there. So if you ever start putting the water through it again, the water knows where to go. And the same is with our brains. So if you picked up a skill in the past and you created those paths in your brain responsible for knowing how to do this particular thing, you take a break and then you don't remember how to do it. But if you start reminding yourself, it's not going to take so much time for the skill to come back to you. So in a way, for the water to flow again. This is how this idea works, that if you learn something, it's much easier to pick it up in the future rather than learn from the scratch. And think of riding a bicycle, right? How long did it take you to learn how to ride a bicycle when you were a kid? And even if you don't ride it for a few years, when you get on the bike, you might have initial difficulties, but in a few minutes, you're going to just go very easy. So it doesn't take you the same time it did when you were a kid to relearn and remind yourself how to ride it now. So there is one more thing that I wanted to talk to you about regarding neuroplasticity. So we know our brain can change physically to support our learning process and help us develop new skills. So the question would be, can we increase our brain's neuroplasticity? And the answer is yes, we can. And there are a few methods that you can use. So as we already said, practicing and repeating the same behavior, the same skill, increases the neuroplasticity of our brain and makes this change stronger. But what is also shown is that you don't really have to do anything physically. Just mental practice can create and cause neuroplasticity in our brain as well. And this is why people recommend meditation. It's because indeed through meditation you can cause these changes in your mind. So for example, if you keep meditating on being more compassionate and more loving, your brain eventually will change to reflect that, to make it true for you. Okay, so let's sum up everything that we talked about neuroplasticity in very actionable points for you to remember and to do. So the first one, you can learn things no matter how old you are. Second, you will become better at things through practice and repetition. Third, if you add meditation to whatever skill you're trying to develop, you're going to speed up your results. And finally, number fourth, that generally trying new things trains your brain and increases its neuroplasticity. Thank you so much for watching. This is Magda K from Psychology for Marketers. And if you did like this video, please like it and share it with your friends. And don't forget, if you're not yet part of our membership of Psychology for Marketers, do join us. There's a little box on the side of this video where you can insert your email and create your account, because there's tons of content and great offers that I only share with the members of our community. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you soon with the next video.